Do you feel like you're bombarded constantly by like messages, media, content, and it's actually impacting you, maybe consciously or unconsciously? Well, today we're going to talk about the impacts of social media on your mental health and what you can do about this. And if you stay until the very end, I have an extra point for you then as well. Now, if you want to connect more with me, you want to follow more of my content, then feel free to reach out to me or follow me on social media. I will leave my links in the show notes below. I'm working on this in terms of my social media reduction because I like to create, I like to share things online, admittedly. It does get me sometimes into that scroll of doom, as they call it, when you're just scrolling and wasting a lot of your time and energy, quite frankly. Mental energy, which drains your physical energy as well. And there's been times though when I've been really down and I actually was it's an addiction for a lot of us. It was an addiction for me, whereby I'd just be scrolling my phone to just like get something out of it, right? The problem is it gets us so in the mind and out of our heart and who we really are. I've done some very, well, I can see why I do it because it's very unconscious and very like habit driven, but I've done things like done a deep breathwork session or really got into my body, exercise, felt good, and then I got on my phone and I've been straight back in my head again, right? Now, it's not saying we're not going to use our phone, and social media is always bad. It's not necessarily bad. It'd be great for some things like sharing messages and helping other people, right? But like that gets me straight into my mind when I overuse it or use it in the wrong way. It's very great for connecting. However, a lot of it I found has been very fake, and there's a lot of programming and things that go on in the background. And when I say programming, it's from very, not just like the creators of it, but like people who are marketers or trying to sell you their business, right? And they're not necessarily bad people. You know, there are people with not so good intentions, however you define that. But yeah, like a lot of people are, you know, trying to use it against you. Let's just be honest. And I've certainly been guilty of being caught in that. And how does that help you when maybe you're stuck on social media and then it's just draining your energy, not feeling good? So anyway, I just want to make this short and simple today because it's a simple thing, but it can be very impactful, I found, on my mental health. So here are a few pointers. Number one, cut down gradually. Trying to cut it out completely has just gone against me. I've done like longer spells off of it, but cutting it down gradually really helps. Like I've done spells from nothing until I could use like text if I wanted to, which that's actually texting on WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger for me is, if I just have that, that's okay because I'll just reply to messages and it's not too many, to be honest, or emails. Actually, it's not too bad for me. In fact, I'm actually terrible with emails unless it's a really important one. If it's someone like my accountant, I'm straight back, but if it's like podcast guest requests, I'm not always the greatest, to be honest, because I get quite a lot of them. So like I found that cutting it down like certain hours really helps. Find times, kind of leading on to the next one, find times to go on it and when to not. So you could have different windows, like I'm going to use social media then and not then. Like if you're really trying to disconnect and connect with nature, I would suggest, which was my previous episode about nature, I would suggest you cut out social media for like a period when you're really in nature, because it's really good. And put a mechanism in place, like delete the app and then make it so that maybe you need a password to log in, but you hide your password from yourself. Make it a system, because if you can find a way of automatically going onto it, you'll do it. Your unconscious will do that. But if you put a barrier in the way so that you have to go and get your password from like a password management system or something like that to log back in, that's going to put a barrier from you unconsciously doing it, which is really good, right? Okay, and then the third one, replace and reward. Find something else when you've got that gap, and then pat yourself on the back and celebrate that you have committed to giving up, because your brain will want to do more of the things you feel good about. So celebrate when you're doing it and give yourself something else in its place that's fun instead, that's going to give you some of that dopamine hit as well. Okay, so final point as well that I want to share that's been really useful for me. And just before we get on that, I want to mention again that if you want to connect on social media, you can find my links in the show notes below. One thing, okay, this is my final point. One thing that I found really useful with social media and reducing it is just going on a detox and then journaling my results. I remember going on a detox for a week and then coming back on, and I was like, it was quite hard at first, couple of days, and then like after the week, I was like, I feel really, really good. I'm glad I came off of it, right? And I felt like I was connecting myself. I had a lot more clarity. So that is just something I would suggest you do. Now, to stick to it, what's a really good thing to do is make yourself accountable on social media, or at least to an accountability partner, so you can share what you're going to do. So that's what I got for you today. I wanted to talk to you about the impacts of social media and some just simple points that I've used to help myself work through it, because it can be quite impactful, I found, on my mental health as a guy, and a lot of comparisons and caught up in negative sort of programming, and then not doing my work, and therefore going in this cycle of not feeling good because I've not done what I wanted to, my energy drained, blah, 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 right? So you got to be careful. So I appreciate you for being here. You'll improve your other people in your life by working on yourself as a man. And remember to lead with your heart, not with fear.